The Midnight Knock on Blackwood Lane. My name is Ethan. I live alone in a small renovated cabin tucked deep into the woods of Oregon, just off Blackwood Lane. The nearest neighbor is about 3 miles away. I moved here for the peace and quiet, wanting to escape the constant noise of the city. For 2 years it was paradise. But last night, the forest turned into a trap, and a simple knock on my door tore my reality completely apart. It started around midnight. A massive, unseasonal storm rolled over the mountains, bringing a torrential downpour. The rain wasn't just falling, it was violently slamming against my tin roof like 1,000 tiny fists. The wind howled through the towering pine trees, making the old wooden beams of my cabin groan under the pressure. By 1:30 a.m., the power grid failed, plunging the entire forest and my house into pitch-black darkness. I lit a single candle and sat on my living room couch, wrapped in a blanket, listening to the deafening roar of the storm. The flashes of lightning outside were the only things illuminating the room, casting long, twisted shadows across the walls. At exactly 2 a.m., during a brief lull in the thunder, I heard it. Knock, knock, knock. 3 distinct, heavy raps against my front door. I froze, my breath caught in my throat. Nobody should be out here on Blackwood Lane at 2 in the morning. Especially not in a dangerous storm like this. I reasoned with myself that maybe a stranded driver had broken down on the main road and walked through the woods to find help. I stood up, holding the candle tightly, and walked over to the heavy wooden door. I didn't open it. Instead, I pressed my ear against the cold wood, trying to listen over the sound of the rain. "Hello?" I called out, my voice trembling slightly. "Who's out there?" No answer, just the relentless, heavy thudding of rain against the porch. I shook my head, thinking the wind was playing tricks on my mind. But as soon as I took a step back, the knocking returned. This time it was louder, faster, and more aggressive. Bang, bang, bang. The entire door shook in its frame. "Ethan, please, open the door. It's so cold out here," a voice screamed from the other side. My heart violently dropped into my stomach. The candle nearly fell from my hand. It was my own voice. It wasn't someone who sounded like me. It was a flawless, identical replica of my own voice, down to the exact pitch, inflection, and the stutter I get when I'm terrified. "Who the hell is that?" I screamed back, backing away toward the kitchen counter, my hand blindly searching for the knife block. "This isn't funny. Get away from my house." "Ethan, please let me in," the voice begged again. The tone was desperate, dripping with panic. "The storm caught me. I'm soaking wet. Just open the door, man, please." I gripped a large chef's knife. A cold sweat broke out across my forehead. My mind was racing, trying to find a logical explanation, but science and logic had left the room. I knew for a fact that I was inside, so who or what was standing on my porch, using my vocal cords? Suddenly, my phone in my pocket vibrated violently, making me jump. The screen lit up, cutting through the darkness. It was a text message from an unknown, unlisted number. I slid it open with a shaking thumb. The text read, "Do not open the door. Protocol for the 2 a.m. storm. If you hear yourself knocking, it is a fetch. It has no face. It needs you to willingly unlock the door so it can take your place. If you stay silent until 3 a.m., it will leave." My eyes went wide. I looked up from the stream just as a massive flash of lightning illuminated the front window next to the door. For a split second, the silhouette outside was burned into my retinas. Standing on my porch was a tall, humanoid shape. It was wearing my exact jacket. But above the collar, where a head should be, there was nothing but a smooth, featureless mass of pale, gray skin. No eyes, no nose, no mouth, just a blank canvas. Yet from somewhere inside that hollow torso, my own voice started laughing. It was a distorted, glitched laugh. It sounded like a skipped audio track. "Ha ha ha, Ethan, let me in, let me in, let me in." The knocking stopped. Instead, I heard the horrifying wet sound of skin scraping against the window pane. Squeak, squeak. The thing was dragging its featureless head across the glass, trying to peer into the dark living room, searching for me. I dropped to the floor, hiding behind the kitchen counter, pulling the blanket over my head. I squeezed my eyes shut and held my breath until my chest hurt. The storm outside seemed to intensify, the thunder cracking so violently that the glass windows vibrated. Every few minutes, the voice would change tactics. "Ethan, it's Mom. Please open up," it whispered, perfectly mimicking my mother's voice. "Bro, open the door, it's Marcus," it shouted, using my best friend's voice. It knew everyone I loved. It was cycling through their voices, trying to find the one that would make me break. The psychological torture was unbearable. I kept my eyes locked on the digital clock of my phone. 2:45 a.m., 2:50 a.m. The scratching on the windows grew more frantic. It sounded like hundreds of long, sharp fingernails were tearing at the glass, desperate to break it. I knew that if the glass shattered, the rule would be broken, and it wouldn't need me to open the door anymore. "Just 10 more minutes," I whispered to myself, hot tears streaming down my face. Just 10 more minutes. At 2:58 a.m., the noise outside reached a deafening crescendo. The screaming of a dozen different voices, the scratching, the pounding on the door, and the roar of the storm all blended into a terrifying, chaotic wall of sound. I covered my ears, screaming into my knees, and then, at exactly 3 a.m., everything stopped. The rain instantly ceased, the wind died down to an eerie, absolute silence, the suffocating pressure in the air vanished. I slowly pulled the blanket down from my head. The cabin was completely still. I crawled toward the window and peeked over the sill. The porch was empty. The storm was completely gone, leaving behind a clear, star-filled night sky. I let out a massive sob of relief, collapsing against the wall. I survived. The clock now read 3:05 a.m. Exhausted and emotionally hollow, I stumbled toward my bathroom to wash the cold sweat off my face. I didn't bother turning on a flashlight. The moonlight pouring through the skylight was enough. I turned on the faucet, splashed the freezing water onto my face, and grabbed a towel. As I wiped my eyes, I looked up at the bathroom mirror. My heart completely stopped. My body went entirely numb. The reflection looking back at me had my clothes, my hair, and my body, but my face was gone. In its place was a smooth, featureless mass of pale, gray skin. I tried to scream, but no sound came out of my empty face. Suddenly, from the other side of the mirror, the reflection raised its hand and touched the glass. It smiled, a mouth ripping open across its smooth gray skin, and spoke in my perfect, original voice. "Thanks for letting me in, Ethan. Enjoy the static." I realized too late. The storm hadn't stopped at 3 a.m. I had looked at my phone screen, but the time on the phone was just a display. The entity had glitched my phone. It was only 2:55 a.m. when I let my guard down and opened my eyes, and now I am the one trapped on the other side of the glass, looking out into a world that no longer belongs to me.